I am struggling with dating and through with the young guys. I want someone that meets my standards. Educated, established, has a good career, and would prefer no kids. I'm struggling to find guys that actually want to settle down rather than just talk for months and months. Okay, there is a lot to unpack here, and a lot of things running through my brain that I could just vomit out to you, with everything that is mentioned. So anyways, this is one of my girls who watches my content, and she reached out to me and she told me some of her problems in dating, and I figured it would be a good guide to help some of you who have sort of the same kinds of issues, are feeling the kind of hopelessness that she might be feeling in the dating and relationship world, and how to just kind of navigate that and how to understand it more clearly, with clarity on why it's becoming a struggle to meet somebody with her standards. Okay, so first I will say is she mentioned that she was through with dating young guys, and if you are a faithful follower here on my channel, you know that I always advocate for dating someone that is older than you. Guys, I believe as a very traditional woman that the guy should be older than you in most circumstances. Of course, there are exceptions, but with most circumstances, you should be dating guys that are older than you. We as women, we mature much faster than men, and we age faster than them, and there's just so many good, valid, juicy reasons as to why we should be dating someone older than us. Okay, so that's the first thing. She's obviously realized that she doesn't want to date guys that are her own age, because she obviously has realized that these young guys have nothing to offer. They have nothing to provide. They have no establishment in themselves, in their careers, what they want for their life. They're not ready to settle down. And obviously there are exceptions here, but generally speaking, younger guys in their 20s, even in their 30s, they're just not where they're supposed to be, as compared to where the guys were just 50 years ago, right? In my parents' generation, and when my dad grew up, the guys are just, it's just so vastly different, for the men, because they are struggling deeply and internally with their and hormonally, with their masculinity and their testosterone levels. Okay, so now I'm going off on a tangent, but good check. She says she's done with dating younger guys. Here's one thing that I'm going to kind of just go through this piece by piece. Here's one thing that I have to mention about dating guys that are older than you. First things first, which I have many videos on here explaining to you, dating older, how to navigate that, and the what ifs and the things to consider, right? There's plenty of videos on that, but just to kind of give you a sum up of when you are a woman who's wanting to date older than you. First, you need to consider for yourself, do you want a guy that is only maybe 5 to 10 years older than you? That's a pretty good and healthy range, especially if you are, seeking out marriage and family and having children, all of that kind of thing. Excuse me. Oh, okay. So, consider what your age range is, like what you want your age range to be, what a good age range is for you in your particular situation, okay? And where you are in life and like what aligns to your future. And then once you figure that out, you have to become the reciprocal of that. So it doesn't matter. It's really so much less to do with actual calendar age, and so much more to do with the psychological age, okay? The age that you are psychologically, and mentally and emotionally, because calendar age is just basically the superficial. It's like the icing on the cupcake, right? It's the icing, because that's all you see is the calendar age. I'm sorry, I'm so butchering this. All you see on the cupcake is the icing on and around the cupcake. But once you bite into that cupcake, that's where you get to taste all of the moistness, the deliciousness, the depth of it, right? Maybe that's a terrible analogy, but you get what I'm saying here, right? Calendar age is just calendar age. It really has nothing to do with the level of integrity and depth that someone is able to contain, right? So you have to become the reciprocal of whoever it is that is on the psychological and emotional state that you want to be on, right? So if you feel like you want an older guy, maybe 5 to 10 years older than you, because you think he's going to be, more well established, and typically they are. He's going to be more well established. He's going to be in a better place financially. He's going to be in a better place emotionally, mentally. He's going to be more in that settled down phase, just by honestly cultural standards. He's just, as he's grown, he's going to be a lot more matured, right? So where was I? Yeah, so if you are wanting to attract that and have someone older so that you can attract that, you have to become the reciprocal of that. The woman that is kind of on the same energetic state of consciousness as this guy, right? As this guy in your head that you created, and you want him to show up as. You have to become the reciprocal of that in order to be able to have that and draw that into your life. So another thing here to consider is, like, if you have this idea in your mind of a guy who is successful, he's established, he has a good career, he's highly valued in the corporate world, whatever it is, think of how that guy looks, how he behaves, his integrity level, his character traits. I'm trying to figure out what my cat is. Oh, she's eating a plant. Okay. Anyways, so think of how he behaves and how he appears and how he presents himself to people, right? And consider yourself and your fashion, right? Now, this is a rabbit hole of a topic. It honestly is, and I don't want to get too deep onto fashion. But fashion is a very big, it's a very big factor. And it's a big factor because you don't have to be some crazy fashionista trying to get on a high fashion runway as a supermodel, right? You don't have to be some crazy avant-garde fashionista who, like me, who just buys clothes and reviews them and, is always kind of playing. You don't have to become that. You don't have to be that at all. But you need to at least make sure that your style and how you present yourself and how you carry yourself is more in a mature sense of fashion, okay? And I wish I could, I mean, if you follow my, if in my dating course, I show actually pictures and good examples of outfits to wear when you're dating, how to present yourself in a more mature fashion, right? Literally in a more mature fashion. But it's hard to kind of explain it without showing you. So, okay, let me give it to you this way. The man that you have in your head of this like good career, he's established, you know, he's highly known, he's highly maybe publicized, maybe he's highly valued in his business or the corporate world, right? He's a valuable asset in the work world, right? Maybe this guy that you have created in your head, you have got to think that this particular guy is not going to be seeking out women who still wear Winnie the Pooh pajamas, Mickey Mouse t-shirts, Mickey Mouse ears, bunny ears, fuzzy slippers, right? Like, I mean, I know that's so commonplace for, you know, it's just kind of spread itself out. Everybody wants to wear Mickey Mouse and Disney and all this bullshit baloney, excuse me, that I think is very, very tacky. Thank God my mom never let us wear that. She never thought that was cute at all, which I'm so glad. But anyways, that kind of guy is not going to be seeking out or attracted to women that are dressing like that, right? And it's not just wearing Winnie the Pooh or wearing Mickey Mouse pajamas, right? It's wearing childlike fashion, childlike clothes, teenager clothes, clothes that you find in the teeny boppy junior section, right? And unfortunately, there are older women, and I'm talking like seniors, who still wear this type of clothing, right? And trendy stuff, right? Like things that I think that are super cute for my sister is not going to be the same things that I think are super cute for my grandma, right? And grandma also doesn't have to wear grandma vintage clothes like I love. She doesn't have to wear grandma-y clothes, right? But she should be having a more timeless and mature sense of style. And so the way that your like fashion is and how you present yourself in the world of fashion, and just your sense of style, how you dress on a daily basis, it is deeply connected to your psychological state. I mean, it's just the same way. If, you know, there's something deep psychologically there for, you know, the men and women who do wear Lilo and Stitch and Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh, like that, they're still very, very connected to their childhood, something comforting, like a comfortable blanket in their childhood, right? And probably going off on another tangent here, as I tend to do. That's why I don't like making really short videos, because I just have way too much to spit out to you and too much knowledge to give for short videos, okay? But it's very relevant, because, you know, overall what I'm saying here is that make sure that your style is mature. If you want to have a man of integrity and established career and just a family guy, you know, he's a provider, he is very generous with his time and his money and his resources, he's going to want a woman who is fully embodied in her womanhood. And older guys definitely don't want to feel like they're with like little girls, right? Like they're not looking for little girls. They might like young women. They might like, the energy that a young woman has, the fertility, right? Depending on what their goals are together. They might like all of these superficial things, but they want to be with a woman who is actually very mature in the way that she presents herself, because she's psychologically mature, she's emotionally mature, she's spiritually mature, she's mature in the way that she interacts with people. She just is she's well-rounded and overall very mature in every which way, in every aspect of her life, and that kind of just manifests into her fashion, right? She has a mature sense of fashion. Okay, so I hope that kind of helped you to understand, like, if you want to date older guys, like, date whatever age range you want to, honestly. I've always dated significantly older than me, but like I said, like, the age thing is really just the kind of outer layer to something that is so much deeper, okay? But yes, they're not going to be looking for women that have that kind of follow the trendy 14-year-olds and whatever they're wearing, like Lululemon and all that junk and crap. Okay, they want a woman who looks good on their arm, and she looks like she's, you know, she's well-rounded, and she herself is also established, right? She's mature. Okay, moving on here. This is going to be a long time. This is a long video already. Okay, so she also says that she wants someone that meets her standards. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting someone that meets your standards, because what you desire is what you desire, right? The chances are is that what you desire and what your standards are just simply a tactic to keep you safe, right? Your standards and what you desire have become this safety container for you to be able to ensure that you are going to remain safe. And the nervous system is always seeking out ways to keep us safe, okay? So there's nothing wrong with wanting someone that meets your standards, and you can have all the standards that you want, and you can have the desires of your heart that you wish to have, without, like, compromising your value system, basically, is what I'm trying to say, okay? Without compromising your value system. You might have to compromise on some certain things, and things that are clearly more superficial, rather than things that are actually going to help the longevity and integrity of your relationship with someone. But you are allowed to have your standards, and if your standards are basically what you are saying here, is that you just want him to be educated, established, good career, and no children, there's nothing wrong with that, because first of all, it's in your evolutionary programming and history to seek out a man who is smart, established, and can protect and provide, can have resources to provide to you, whether or not you have kids, whether or not he has kids, whether or not you have kids together, whatever it is, it's in your DNA and your brain wiring to seek out a man who can protect and provide, because the instinctual part of human nature is to procreate, okay? So, you said that I should just speak to all of you here watching. She says that she wants a guy that would preferably have no kids. And I also have things to say about that subject as well. Okay, so I'm gonna say, like, kind of probably a mouthful on this. You guys, my hair is so bad. Like, I have to go get my hair cut this weekend, so bear with this horrible mop on my head. Okay, so anyway, I'm just not used to my hair, like, being so grown out. Anyways, so you are not wrong, and there's nothing inherently wrong or bad or toxic about you preferring to date a guy that does not have kids. Okay, let me just get that clear. Let me make that clear, because I remember, like, when I was younger, and I was a teenager and whatnot, and I would have those same thoughts. I was like, wow, I don't want to be with some. I mean, I grew up in a very traditional household, right? My mom and my dad got married. She was 18 and she had us, right? Like, there were no having kids outside of wedlock or anything like that, right? So out there, out in the real world, when I would see those things happening, it was very confusing to me, and I knew that that was not right, and that was not what I wanted, right? So you're not wrong for desiring a guy that is solely and completely yours. He is yours to build with. He is yours to potentially start a family with. Like, that hasn't already given himself away and been through the mud and, had all of these past relationships and procreated with different women, right? Whether it's one woman or whether it's like 3 or 4, right? Because they are definitely out there too. You're not wrong for desiring that. So let me just get that out the way, okay? But there's a lot to say on this, because, okay, if you want, it's not impossible to find a guy that has no kids. It's not impossible. But you are correct that it's much more difficult because it's much more rare. And especially with the older that you go, right? So the older that you go, obviously you're really shrinking your pool very, very small if you want to date older guys, but your requirement is that he can't have any kids and he has never been married before, right? Like, that's just not the reality. You're gonna have a hard time finding what it is that you want if that is all that you seem to be comfortable with, right? So with older men, and I'm more so speaking about, men that are maybe 15, 20, 25 years older than you, they're gonna have been married, maybe they're divorced, maybe they've been even married a couple times, and they probably do have a couple kids. But you can find ways to compromise on this thing, okay, about yourself. Because look, I used to say the exact same thing, that I don't want somebody who has kids. And here's where the compromising is, okay? So you can compromise with yourself, within yourself. This is not even a conversation that you need to go out having with other guys, right? It's just a compromise that you'll have to make within yourself, that you are willing to date guys who have kids, but that if the kids are older, right, you may be willing to date a guy and, settle your life down with a guy that has older kids, right? I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, so the compromise for that is a huge one, because I used to, like, when I was younger, I used to say, like, I don't ever want to be with a guy that has no kids, and I realized that is rare, right? But then I came to terms with, or I came to accept that I was okay with a guy having children, if the children were older, right? And that's going to be easier with older men, because they're probably have kids that are older and probably in college, if not on their way out. They have their own families, they're living their own lives. They have made their own path and life and families apart from him. So that's that's going to be a little bit easier. But for surely, like with anyone from 5 to, let's say, 15 years your senior, you can compromise that you will not go for any guy that has maybe very, very young kids, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's totally okay. That's not, especially if you don't have kids yourself, right? That's incompatible lifestyles, right? Now, hear me out, okay? I am no one to say if you are a woman that has a very strong calling to be a stepmom, a step-parent, or a second mom, or whatever, to a guy that maybe has young children. If that is your calling, like, girl, power to you. You should follow that calling. If that is your calling, that you are willing to be a second mom to a guy that has young kids because maybe you really, really love children. Maybe the circumstances could be just, they range, right? Could be that you love young children. Maybe you can't have your own children. Maybe he's widowed, and his previous wife passed away, and he needs a woman and a mom, to kind of step in for the family. He needs that mom figure for his kids, right? I mean, there's so many different circumstances at play here. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's a beautiful calling. If you or if you want to get into relationship with him and immediately start having your own kids, and then you have like this big old family together, that's beautiful. That's great. Like, you start having your own kids, and then you kind of merge with his kids, and you kind of just like create this big family, this just kind of intertwined families, right? That's great. And I think that if that's your calling, you should go for it, right? But as I was saying, there's also nothing wrong with you not wanting that lifestyle if that is incompatible with your goals and your lifestyle, okay? So if you don't see yourself having kids, then yeah, why would you want to be with a guy who has young kids? They're doing the lawn out there. All of his time, his resources, everything is really going to be dedicated strictly to those young children, right? And like I said, for certain circumstances, if you are like quick to marry a guy and quick to start your own family and move in with him and all that, that's great. Like that can work. But if that's incompatible with you, then living separate lives, if you're someone who's more independent and you kind of do your own thing and you have more of a adventurous lifestyle, then yeah, it's going to be kind of difficult for you to kind of really compromise on that issue, right? So you don't have to break that that desire just because my cat. You don't have to kind of alter your desire for not wanting to be with a guy who has young children. There's nothing wrong with that, and at the end of the day, it's really just incompatible lifestyles, right? Because everything's going to be catered. Everything is just kind of, there's a lot of pressure, right? That's a lot of responsibility, and that's why the family unit is never supposed to be broken up, unless of course other circumstances that are natural causes, right? But as far as divorce goes, yeah, there's always so much heartache and trauma and just so many unnecessary issues that we shouldn't even have to deal with when divorce is brought into the picture, right? So anyways, going off on another tangent here, but that's what I tend to do. Hopefully you're still following along with me in breaking down this question and hopefully receiving your insight, okay? So let's move on to the next statement. Okay, you guys, I'm really just so embarrassed to show you this hair. Like, it's truly embarrassing. But anyways, moving on. So she says, struggling to find guys that want to settle down rather than those guys that just want to talk for months and months. And let me, oh my gosh, so much I want to unpack here too. Okay. I want you ladies to know that if you are, none of my dating and relationship work, none of my dating advice, none of my dating workbooks, my dating course, whatever, none of that is going to help you if you are someone who is in a space of hating men, right? Like, that's not, nothing that I'm sharing with you is going to help you in your dating world if you are a woman who hates men and like wants to tear men down, and you think that we're at war with men. No, we're not at war with men. We don't need to go tear men down to make ourselves feel more equal to them. No, this is nothing of what I'm giving to you is going to work if you are a lady that is in that space, because you've been so hurt and bruised and burned by men, and so now you have this sour perspective of the male kind, right? So that's just as an overall blanket statement here. You can't date and marry and attract properly if you're in a space energetically where you hate men, okay? So as I was saying, you always attract at your same energetic state of consciousness, at your same level, right? So what is familiar to you is going to reflect in the person that you choose, right? So whatever your belief systems are, whatever is manifesting in your life, what's normal, what's familiar to you is going to be reflected in the choices that you make, the environments that you put yourself in, the people that you surround yourself with, the partner that you choose, right? So, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. Okay. So, okay. She says, struggling to find guys that want to settle down rather than just talk for months and months. So you basically need to become, like, get to a place in yourself where you are so good, you are so healed, you are so, let's see if that works, you are so content and happy with where you are at this moment in time, right? So we as women, just as a whole collective, we tend to get into this whole idolization of love and romance and marriage, right? And that's not healthy. It's never healthy to idolize the idea and fantasize marriage and love and family and all of this fun, juicy, romantic stuff. That's great, and it's a beautiful thing to have, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to experience in this lifetime. But we are not supposed to be in a space where we are idolizing the idea of it. We are idolizing wanting that, craving that, and being so desperate for it. And we also tend to find that when we are desperate for those kinds of things, we tend to coincidentally repel them from us. And it's really weird how that works, but the more desperate that you are for something, the more that you tend to repel that energetically from you, right? So you need to get into a space energetically and psychologically and emotionally where you are so good where you at, and you realize that a man can only come in and make you happier. He is not the root and foundation of your happiness. You find your flourishment, your happiness, your sovereignty, your self-sufficiency in you, in like yourself, in God, in what you do on this planet, your purpose here, your community, your friends, what you involve yourself in, your activities. Like, this is where you flourish. This is where you find your joy. This is where you find your peace. This is where you find your happiness, all coming from internally. And then a man can only come in and make that better for you. He's like the cherry on top. He is the dessert after, a delicious savory meal, right? He's the treat. So given all that, that's the first point that I wanted to make, because you have to be so settled within yourself and allow these beautiful manifestations of your internal reality to happen organically for you. And it can happen organically, and it will happen organically as long as you are not desperate for it or chasing after it or trying to rush to the altar, okay? It will happen, and it will always happen in God's perfect timing for you and how he wants to write your story, okay? And as far as talking for months and months, babe, I want you ladies to get into this all comes with healing yourself, okay? Into a space where you know the value that you have as a woman. You know that so firmly. You stand so rooted in the value that you have. You stand so strongly in who you are, what you bring, the kind of life and energy that you give to a relationship, the love that you are able to give, the caring, the selflessness that you are able to give to your relationship, the energy that you bring into it, the life, the playfulness, right? The humor that you are able to bring into a relationship. You get to that space where you know all of that value that you bring because you embody the value, right? It has nothing to do with all of these external valuable things and resources, and all of that has nothing to do with all of that, but the internal value that you hold. And so that way you are so embodied in that you are just kind of patiently waiting and standing and doing as you do and living your life where where you know that the guys they're going to be chasing and running after you. They're going to be pursuing after you. They're going to have their eyes on you. They're going to, see you as the most interesting woman that they've ever met. They're going to see you as the most beautiful, the most mysterious, the most femininely seductive woman that they have ever met, and they don't quite know how to figure you out, right? But they know that there's something special about you, and that is very seductive to the male mind, right? So when you need to get into a space where you know all of that, you carry all of that with you, you embody all of that energy, and you then don't have any guys that are just wanting to, use you up and spit you out, or talk to you for months and months at a time, or kind of prolong this friend zone process, or the pursuit the pursuit to romance process, right? None of that is taking place because you simply don't allow that. You don't allow that, but you do allow organic connections to form. So I know that's a mouthful and maybe didn't fully register to you, but I'm going to try to simplify it, is that take the pressure off that you need to be talking to someone for months and months, and getting to know someone, and having gone through a phase of getting to know someone for months and months at a time. You need to take that pressure off, like literally part ways with it. Decide that talking phase doesn't exist. Everything that you've had to learn about this stuff, maybe you've learned it online, maybe you've learned it through your friends, TV, whatever. Part ways with it and decide that doesn't work for you, okay? You don't talk to men for months and months at a time and let them get to know you more and stop your life and kind of like put all your energy invested into this one guy, creating this energetic pedestal that you have put him up on, because that doesn't best serve you and your integrity as a woman, right? That doesn't best serve you. So you decide that you don't want any pressure, and really it's gonna help the guy too, right? Like if there's no pressure to where you are not just talking to each other, but you're genuinely just organically interested in each other. And I'm not saying here don't be intentional, but you're organically interested in each other. You know, you have a great time dating. You let him date and court you. You let him provide things to you. He is obviously being intentional about being romantic, in a more romantic way, because he's providing things to you. He's showing you that he is a good, suitable choice. He's giving to you. He's generous with you, right? All of these things that he's doing to prove that he's a worthy, suitable choice. But there's still no pressure, right? So you have to take the pressure off yourself in order to help take the pressure off the energetics of the relationship, and then also the pressure off of the guy, right? When there's no pressure, no expectations, no you should, he should, you have to, he has to. When there's none of that, you will feel this heavy burden lift off of your shoulders, right? Am I making sense here? I hope that I am. So I'm going to start wrapping this up here, but don't let guys talk to you for months and months. And if you are talking to different guys, you know, for months and months, that's okay. That is perfectly okay, because guess what? You're not bound to any of these guys, and there's no pressure on any different relationship with any of them, okay? You are still going, don't get yourself invested into one guy. Like, you are still going to date. You are still going to have a roster of guys that you are casually dating, that are pursuing you, that are wanting to show you a good time. They're wanting to, you know, give you experiences. They're wanting to provide things to you. They're wanting to be generous, share experiences, share resources to you. Like, they are guys that are wanting to do these things because they have genuine interest in you, and they are, like I said, presenting themselves in a way that would prove to you that they would be a suitable choice. But basically, it's like they're auditioning, okay? They are auditioning for the role of your future husband, right? And knowing that they are auditioning for the role of your future husband, even just having the mentality of that, is going to relieve so much pressure off of you, period, okay? So all of these guys are auditioning to be your husband. You are not auditioning to be his wife, okay? Men are going to line up to audition to be the woman's choice, not vice versa here. So Don't get yourself in these talking phases. Allow yourself to talk to as many guys, you know, have conversations and go out on dates with as many guys, whatever, you know, maybe 3 different guys, 5 different guys, whatever, that are interested in you and want to take you out. And don't stop dating any of them for any guy that wants to make you his girlfriend, okay? I'm not going to get too deep into that because that's just, that I have so many other videos talking about that, and that's just not for this video. But if a guy wants to keep you as a girlfriend for years and years and years, and he just wants to see how it goes, go with the flow, you know, have you audition for him, you know, move in with him, all of these things that he might not even be aware of. It might be just happening subconsciously. You might be both just playing out your all that you know, and like the roles that you witness, and you know what you see your friends doing, what you see your parents doing, whatever it is. But period, don't allow a guy to come into your life, take you off of the dating and mating market when he has no commitments to you whatsoever. If you want to date until, you know, a guy asks you to be his wife, you know, saying clearly to you that he wants to marry you. I'm not saying date until, you know, the day you get married. Like, obviously, if a guy wants to marry you and you're going to be engaged to him or whatever, obviously you would want to, you would not want to date other guys. But, you know, until the guy is very intentional with you and says that he wants to marry you and he sees a future with you, whatever, then don't take yourself off of the dating market. And I promise you, it's so much, it's a much easier way to go about the dating and relationship and romantic life, rather than just kind of putting all this pressure on yourself or on the other guy and kind of chasing and carelessly and blindly hoping for something to come out of all of these different interactions and guys that you are meeting. Don't get caught up, basically don't get caught up in a fantasy when it is that you meet a guy, and this fantasy that you're creating, and you know, you've gone on a date with him and now you're already creating a fantasy in your head of how your children are going to look together. Okay, don't get caught up in that. Take him off of these energetic pedestals and understand that it will work out for you in due time, and you just have to basically live life as virtuously and as healthily as possible. Okay, I could go on and on about this stuff, but ladies, if you are if you like, you know, listening to my advice and my talks and my insight onto dating and relationships, first of all, thank you for being here. I absolutely love you, and I absolutely love hearing all of your questions and receiving all your feedback. But definitely go ahead and give the WIFEY dating playbook a look. That's for ladies that are out there dating and need to know how to navigate. Maybe they're just getting out there and rotational dating. Maybe they're not really sure how to like handle and communicate with guys that are courting them. So that's definitely going to be more for those ladies. I also have a dating course which goes over pretty much everything that I'm telling you here today, but in so much more depth. So definitely go ahead and check that out if you are willing to and wanting to invest more into yourself and your knowledge. And so that way you have all this knowledge basically stored away in your mind for when you do have a special man in your life. Okay, that is all that I'm going to share with you today for this video. It's already been super long. Definitely, if you have any more, if you have any certain circumstances or questions, or need some more insight, you can either send me a DM on Instagram or you can email me, and I'm more than happy to get back to you and share with you my advice and my knowledge based upon hormonal differences between men and women, psychological differences, scientific reasons, evolutionary backgrounds, all of this amazing juicy stuff. Okay, so until the next video, I will talk to you guys soon. Love you.